as yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Purcell, the Mercatus Center was founded and is funded by the Koch family foundation. Isn't that correct?
Is that for me, sir?
Well, Mr. Purcell, you're with the Mercatus Institute also, correct?
No, sir.
Just you, Mr. McLaughlin?
I am with the Mercatus Center, yes, sir.
And you are familiar with the fact that the Mercatus Center was founded and funded by the Koch family foundation.
I was founded long before I was employed there. I'm not privy to the details of the founding. I'm not privy to the details of the funding.
So you don't know anything about the Koch brothers then?
I probably know less than you, sir.
Boy, gosh, you're really putting me on a pedestal there. I think you probably have superior knowledge. You're just being modest. But Mr. Tolman, your organization, Right on Crime, is also Koch brothers funded. Isn't that correct?
We have a number of funders. So
Koch brothers is one of them.
One of them is also the Just Trust. And
he has actually funded you at the rate of about $5 million. Isn't that correct?
I don't have those numbers.
And then you come and you make the case against Alvin Bragg for prosecuting Donald Trump. And you also served as a pardon broker during the waning days of the Trump administration when pardons were being dispensed as if they had been paid for. Correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not correct.
serving as a
I'm very,
pardon
very
broker.
proud. I was an attorney, and I represented individuals who were deserving of clemency.
Pardons.
And I represented many, and wish that we would have been able to get many through. And clemency, those last days were not the way clemency should be run.
This is
And
not about pardons. I don't want to get bogged down on pay to play. But I do want to commend the Koch brothers for having an interest in criminal justice reform. They're to be commended for that. But I wonder whether or not they are looking down the line about perhaps being more involved in the privatization of the prison industrial complex. We spend about $80 billion to incarcerate, $80 billion annually to incarcerate 2.2 million people. Ms. Tylek, can you give us, I'm wondering whether or not Koch brothers is interested in criminal justice reform because at some point they see dollar signs about privatization of the criminal justice system, just as they have supported the civil justice system privatization with forced arbitration. Can you comment on that for us, Ms. Tylek, please?
Sure. Well, I definitely don't want to ascribe intention to anyone I don't know. And so I can't say for certain what their long-term plans are. What I can say is that it's not uncommon for people in this space to get into and invest in this industry with other long-term plans. There was a mention earlier of the school-to-prison pipeline. We actually recently found that there are people interested in the prison-to-nursing home pipeline. And looking at ways to invest in correctional health care because they already own nursing homes on the outside. That said, I will give one nod and say that Americans for Prosperity, which is one of the Koch's sort of nonprofit organizations, does actually support the end to the prison telecom industry.
Mm-hmm. That industry, by the way, generates I don't know how many.
$1.4 billion, just telecom.
Billions sipping off of the backs of inmates, relatives who are seeking to communicate with their loved ones. How about how medical care and food for the inmates come into play in terms of privatization?
I think in our time, I want to really specifically address healthcare, because healthcare in prisons and jails right now is under attack. It has been completely, in many cases, privatized. And one of the most egregious examples of sort of bankruptcy fraud and some things happening currently is Corizon's bankruptcy. So for those who aren't aware, Corizon...
Time has expired, but you may continue your answer.
I'll just say really quickly, Corizon is a major correctional healthcare company that was saddled with over $1 billion in lawsuits and settlements, and they separated the company into two, gave one half all the liabilities, the other half all of the assets, and then they bankrupted the liabilities and all the families who lost their loved ones.
Kind of like the Sackler family.
Gentlemen's time has expired. The